Look, what's this? It's a wish that I make a color theory tutorial. Your wish is my command. The truth is, everyone does color a little bit differently, and there's an overwhelming amount of technical terms and types of palettes. But really, all colors can look good together if you know the tricks to use them right. Personally, I go through a little journey every time I choose colors for my art and videos. So I'll take you with me this time and show you some tips along the way. Let's start my coloring journey with vibes. For everything that I color, there's a story I want to tell, a feeling I want to convey. It could be nostalgia, cheerfulness, softness, darkness, hopelessness, brain rot, skibbity, yeah, bleh. I go online and I scout out images that make me feel what I want my art to feel. I tend to want my videos to have a nostalgic and cozy vibe, so let's search it up. Look, what kind of colors do you see? I see mostly dark and desaturated colors accented with bold, bright details. I see cool tone backgrounds of green, blue, and purple. I see warm, bright colors for the focal points. They draw my eyes. So that's what I use to give that magical feeling and glow to my videos. I want you to remember that coloring starts with feeling and vibing rather than strict rules. And I want you to look at references analytically every time you start a new project, and take notes on how they get their intentions across. Now it's time for palette building. After feeling inspired, I either decide colors directly from the photo palette, or I might choose one main color to use to start building my palette with. For my last video, I chose a sort of dark tealish blue. So I thought, what goes well with the bluish color? Its complement, of course, which is orange. Complementary colors are colors across from each other on the color wheel. Red and green, orange and blue, purple and yellow. I don't really use this as a rule, but more of ideas to test. For another video, I chose yellow. I didn't know before, but blue and yellow can also be complementary, because a wide range of hues are considered blue. And yellow is analogous with orange, meaning they're right next to each other, so they look good together. They also have psychological meanings. Blue is serene and sad, orange is optimistic, and yellow is joyful. I stopped at 3 colors though, because I want to limit my color palette and make sure my art is cohesive and clean. But there are exceptions, of course, like for this video, I used the entire rainbow as accents in my grayscale base. To make all of those colors work together, I used repetition. Or in other words, make the same color appear in different areas, and also all around the video. It screams to your brain, oh, I remember seeing this mix of colors. This must be part of the same artwork. Now I'll show you distribution. I have to decide what to use each color for in the drawing, and make variations from them. And how I decide is by thinking about emphasis. I ask, what part of this drawing do I want to stand out? Art is like a statement without words, and I make that statement by making it obvious where I want the viewer to look. Take the thumbnail of this video, for example. What do you notice first? What do you think I'm trying to tell you? Well, I bet your eyes are easily drawn to the circle of colorful chicks. But why? Because they are a bright contrast to my muted and grayscale background and character. So my tip is to put your brightest and warmest colors at the most important parts of your art. By emphasizing the colorful chicks, I am making the statement that colors are super important to my video. Let's apply this to my other video. As inspired by my earlier references, I decided my background should be dark blue. The base of everything I draw should be blue. And warm yellow and orange should be reserved for my star accents, because I want them to stand out. With those ideas in mind, I move on to thumbnailing. For videos, I like the effect of real life combined with animation. So I first import a photo I took to Procreate. Then I turn down the saturation to grayscale. Then tint it to the color I want and add chromatic aberration. And then I sketch one character or thing to make the thumbnail, and add decorations as I see fit. I also test out different color placements, and add different shades and tints of the base colors for variation. Sometimes it starts out looking terrible and I hate myself, but I just play around until it's better. This is actually the initial thumbnail that I made for this video. You could probably tell that I went a bit crazy trying to decide how to draw the chicks, or birds, I don't know what they are at this point. But yeah, it started out pretty rough, which is why I say that coloring is more like a journey rather than a process. The reason I thumbnail first is because then I would know what to expect for the final drawing. If I make the final frame without color placements already decided, it would be really stressful and time-consuming to make sure the colors go together after. It's also during this step that I plan the shading and line color. Outside of my videos, I do simple and stylistic shading. Take this fan art for example. To shade her pink hair, I only did a bit of a hue shift. It's a technique where to create a shadow, I shift the hue cooler towards pink's analogous color, which is purple. For her skin, I darkened the peach color and shifted the hue cooler towards pink. This makes the shading plump and vibrant instead of muddy. Also, when light hits something, the shadows are not the same color in all places. So I added different colors like the complementary blue. And now it brings me to my biggest tip for making my coloring cohesive, which is blending. This blue on her skin is weird. It doesn't fit. So I assert my dominance and make it fit by taking my blending tool and smearing it into the base orange color. Then I take my eyedropper and choose colors in between them to shade with. I use this trick everywhere to immediately make any color more detailed and look like it belongs. For my video, I shaded the wishes like this, by blending the orange with the blue. Then I colored the lines with darker and more saturated colors already in my palette. With the details planned out, I used the thumbnail as the blueprint and finally draw every other final frame to match it, by first sketching, lining, then filling with my selected colors. And there you have it, my style of coloring. But don't leave yet. I want to show you some cool things I didn't get to cover. For example, this apple has a green leaf. But no, I lied. It's actually freaking orange. This is because colors look different depending on the context, or what surrounds it. It's the strategy I use to make warm tone pieces, like this sketch of Jinx. Okay, now let me show you something cool. Right before I finished this tutorial, I asked my friend Chen, who was a really skilled artist, what she would include in a color theory tutorial, if being colorblind was a consideration. And she said value. Value is how dark or light a color is, or the grayscale of it. For example, you can still tell what this black and white picture is showing, because of value differences. And your art should show this too. Your art should be clear and defined even in grayscale, which gave me an idea to challenge. My challenge was, would it be possible to make a very nicely colored artwork, without thinking about color at all, besides for how gray it is? So, with only 3 tools in my arsenal, a grayscale reference of a cake, a color palette of a tree, and the grayscale version of the color palette, I set out to color my cake. I chose each color by first looking at how dark it is in the cake photo. Then I picked the swatch with the matching level of darkness in my grayscale palette, and I dropped the actual color from the palette for my drawing. For example, to color the strawberry, I saw that it is a mid to slightly dark gray in my reference. So I found the mid gray and slightly dark gray from my grayscale palette, which coordinated to the red and purple in the palette. So I colored the strawberry using those and blended them together. I did the same for basically everything else, and the cake actually turned out pretty cool. I mean, like, look at this, it's not tasty by any means, but it definitely has personality. And so I'm happy. Of course, to do this properly, you also have to know what the color actually is outside of its grayscale version. But you can just search it up using its hex code. I was honestly really excited to share this, since doing this challenge really helped me learn how to use pre-made color palettes. Anyway, it's about time I finish up, so I really hope you enjoyed. Ask anything you want in the comments while I thank my first Ko-fi supporters. You guys are the best. See ya!